Hello, everyone. Welcome to Basically Anything, where we talk about just that basically anything. I'm your host, Spider, and I'm accompanied by my friend Adam.
Hey everyone.
And today's topic is bronies. Now, bronies are a weird bunch. Just like yesterday, furries, they're an outgoing group that they bands together, or even if they're just like a single brony, uh, they they're not people who are very, let's just say, functioning in society. Now, if you don't know what a brony is now I don't know if this applies for women, but a brony is a grown man or somewhere around the age of that they're not really supposed to be watching those types of shows. I'm not dissing anyone for watching cartoons if you're older or grown. It's just you know what I mean. Like, if you watch Dora, and you watch it when you're like 14, 15, 16, something along those lines. It's just not the norm. Well, bronies are kind of like that, but they watch My Little Pony and they take it a little bit too far by you know uh going to furry cons and wearing hooves and all this other junk and they're I'm not bashing anyone for having a fandom, but bronies are just a little bit out there. They don't function correctly, and we'll get to that. So, Adam, what is your thoughts on bronies?
Well, back at that time, they just came out of nowhere. This was back when, I think it was the early year, not the early years of 4chan, but when it was 4chan was well known. Some guy just I don't know, was one guy, he said, "Hey, this show's pretty good." And then a lot of people agreed onto it. Then later it became just a whole community thing on 4chan. Then it later evolved onto other social media, Facebook and Twitter, Tumblr, and all that. And um, yeah, that it was just they just basically kind of nowhere, all because of this one show that is meant to target for just little girls. And I stand by your statement saying I'm not bashing anybody too. Anybody has the right to watch anything, and they do have
Now,
a right to.
uh, sorry to cut you off there, but where did bronies start exactly? That's something that I've been wondering.
They started off in 4chan. It was on the B section. I'm not too sure, but it was from 4chan, and it just saw off some guy said it's pretty good. And then later someone guy said, "Oh, it's yeah, I agree with you, it's pretty good." And then later just became a big thing.
Now,
And then it leaked onto other social websites, and people started getting annoyed. And then I guess that's where it all began.
My Little Ponies or My Little Pony. I'm pretty sure it really kicked off with My Little Pony. Friendship is Magic, and like you said, it started on 4chan, and
And
uh,
it's a very odd place to start from on 4chan. I mean, no hate on 4chan. I mean, it's a website. It's an infamous website for everything, and I'm not hating on it. It's just out there like Tumblr. And it's just a very odd place to start. It's kind of funny, but it's very odd. You could have started it off somewhere else, like I don't know, on a group chat in uh, a Kick or a PlayStation, Xbox, something like that. But on 4chan, that's what really awes my mind. It just starts off from there. It's just out of nowhere, random, and then yeah, exploded.
yes. Now, I very highly believe in what I'm about to say. I compare furries to bronies a lot. There's many similarities on what we talked about yesterday and what we're gonna talk about today. Uh, in regards that bronies, they go to conventions just like the furries, and they'll dress up too. Now they won't dress up in full on fur costumes. Now some do. Some will dress up as ponies, but uh, bronies, they'll wear like hooves, and they'll wear like little like hair pieces. They'll dye their hair really multicolored, and they just will not stop talking about My Little Pony. It is their religion. It is their favorite show. It is everything. They'll wear bright pink, and it's crazy how a show made for little girls has grown into this, and the whole creators and everything of My Little Pony, instead of just saying, okay, this is bad, this is a kid show, we're just gonna keep on making a kid show, and whoever watches it. We didn't get that. Instead, they're embracing it, and the creators, the writers, everybody are going to these conventions that these bronies are holding, and it is just that's insane because if I created a show that was dedicated towards a specific audience, I wouldn't change my complete audience to someone else, like grown adults. Like, yeah, it's still a kid show, but it does have references to other mediums such as Rick and Morty, Homestuck, uh, just a whole bunch of medias that kids won't watch, and those are for the adult fans, so they acknowledge it. What do you think on this, Adam?
Well, like I said, it seems like the creators they know what's up, and they just do these little Easter eggs just to give out a little wink wink to the older viewers out there, and just if they've ever seen it. Like there's one instance I saw a video about, like there was one they hid in the Slender Man thing, and that was a bit of odd in the little kids show, but you could always see it in like a split second, and I thought that was just a bit funny. But at the
Now,
same time, it's just a bit off because that's a bit. Are they still targeting? Are they still targeting the show for kids? Is the question.
yeah,
And
yeah, I've thought of that too. Do they do this now? Uh, Now, bronies, they're I think they're a lot more bigger in groups than the furries that we talked about last time, because bronies, they don't care. Some furries will actually, instead of going out in public in their fursuit or with their tail, they can hide it. Bronies really like to express that they're bronies.
yeah, you see that, and you basically seen that in chat rooms. Now, when I say chat rooms, I mean by, like, I don't know, it could be anywhere, like from PlayStation. I recall having experience with the Brony back on PlayStation back in like 2012, and it wasn't very unpleasant. It was in a Call of Duty match, and I decided to do a 1v1 on them, and I ended up winning, and they just started to get really upset. But that was like back in 2012, and whoever that I I won over. Apologies, sorry. Um, but yeah, you mostly see that stuff on, like, whatever. In real life, the best thing I have to say is that on a rare occasion, I have also experienced a brony in real life who they tried to get me on the show back when I was, I don't know, and this was when middle school year when I first started off, and I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna just don't come near me, man. Just go away. And after that, he did not like me, and
Yeah, I feel
yeah,
like I've
it just
had
didn't end. It didn't end really well.
I've
My
had
experiences with bronies didn't end well. Well, there was one experience where I befriended a brony, and he seemed very chill. We don't talk much. We don't ever communicate with one another, so we'll just leave it at that. But also the thing I want to I want to do a quickie on is, well, it's not a quickie, like it's probably a segment, but the whole cosplaying thing for a lot of people, for the bronies in general, they say it's a difference between fursuiting and dressing up as ponies.
yeah, I see
But the
that.
thing I see is that you're dressing up as an animal, but but not in a anamorphic uh way, like a humanoid, like you see furries just walk on twos and all that. Well, you see that, but what I see is these people are like cosplaying mostly. They'll have the hair. Some cosplay will go that far into have like the whole pony outfit on. But I see a lot of people where, the rainbows, they have the wings on the back, and have their little OCs and stuff, which I find that to be cosplaying instead of fursuiting. But there's just that there is some bronies that I've seen that go to the extreme to wear those kind of costumes.
Now,
And okay, go on.
Um, what I can really compare from what you've said, these creating of personas, they know that they're not this, but they create their own in that universe. What I see from that is it's another fandom that me and you, Adam, we have a lot of experience with. Homestuck. A lot
Yeah.
of people will create their own trolls. Now, I'm not gonna go all into Homestuck on this episode. It might be for another podcast. But Homestuck is it's a web comic and it's very popular between people. This one actually isn't made for little girls, is the thing. And I'm gonna move into our next subject before I get completely sidetracked, and that is their drive onto why Bronies started and why they do this, why they watch it, why grown men watch it, and teens and all these other people that should not be in this demographic of My Little Pony watchers. And uh, I have a solid piece of evidence that could actually back this up and not make fun of them in this sort of way. This is actually a very strong subject that I have, and that is that the creator of My Little Pony, Lauren Faust, I'm pretty sure her name is. She worked on other projects such as the Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Actually, two of my favorite cartoons of all time, and I feel that the Bronies grew up watching these cartoons of the Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home, and I really do feel as if what if they really like the creator, they like what she did, Lauren, and they said, oh well, she's coming out with a new work, My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, and they started watching this show, and they watch it because of her work. That's something that I have thought of, and that's a theory on what drives them to watch this show.
Well, that's a very plausible statement. I mean, I could agree, definitely agree with that statement. Is that some the animes out there, like there's people who, for instance, I like to compare Butch Hartman, is that people love to see his work because he's the creator of Very Odd Parents, and people want to follow his work and are inspired by his work and all that. And I see a really good that's a really good argument. People just want to follow their inspiration, and it seems that the people that do watch that just for work, I feel that they're inspired people that want to chase the career into going to animation.
Yeah, like they have like a favorite they have a
Yeah,
favorite story writer, like they just like their animation, like you said, like Butch Hartman, or one of my favorite, JT Quintel or David Firth, people like that.
yeah, true.
Um Now I'm gonna move into another subject that we're gonna we're gonna talk a lot about. It's I really like to stay away from these people, and that is
Go ahead, go ahead.
that is
This is a podcast after all. We need to cover this. We're
that
talking about it. I mean,
that is
but
the
it's covering too.
fandom. The fandom is it's so bad. It is really bad.
I knew you'd say that.
It's like
I'll
World.
have to agree with you. Yes, it is bad, but
It is World of
continue,
Warcraft.
continue.
It is World of Warcraft basement kid bad. It is neck beard fedora tipping bad. It is 4chan using porn watching bad. This whole fandom of bronies, and that is what we're talking about, is the fandom, not just My Little Pony in general, the fandom. But this is the meat of the topic. It all right. So let's just say you're going to Walmart, okay? You're going to Walmart and you walk into the store and you have one mission. One mission. Go to the back of the store, get toilet paper, go to the front of the counter, pay for it, and leave. Well, on your way there, you see a fat, chubby kid, and I'm gonna say kid in quotations because when they turn around, it's gonna shock you. So you see this, let's just say, yeah, dwarf. Dwarf is a better word. So you see this dwarf who has a wristband, a bunch of wristbands, and is wearing a bright pink shirt, long hair, and they're right where the toilet paper is, and you can't, you're not gonna bend down. Your back hurts after a long day of work, so you tap on their back and you say, "Hey, sir, can you pick this up for me?" They turn around. They have very tinted out glasses, kind of like the ones that Daredevil wears. And they have a neck beard. Their shirt, now that you can completely see it, says "My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic." It's for a little girl, but this fat dwarf is wearing it instead. They're wearing super tight, skinny jeans, and they smell like just Doritos. And on top of that, they still have the Dorito cheese powder on their fingers, and they. And
Oh
then
my
you just
God.
say, "Okay, never mind. You can keep that toilet paper. I don't want it. Don't help me." These people are very hard to miss. And as you're walking out of the store, here comes their friend, and they have multicolored hair, and they have, I don't know, their Pone Sauna. I'm gonna just call it that instead of First Sauna. Their Pone Sauna little logo that the My Little Pony ponies have on their butt cheeks. They have that on their T-shirt, and they're going back to go help their friend. These people are just, they're so bad. Bronies are worse than furries. I'll say that. Furries have a limit. Bronies do not. They don't care what they look like in public. They smell like fish, the tuna. The girls don't wear makeup. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's a bad thing when you literally look like a horse and you're zit faced. That's a bad thing.
Oh God, holy hell.
That was a long story, but I had to emphasize like the struggle. I had to make you claustrophobic in my stories to understand how bad
God.
these people are.
I don't know how to describe that, to be honest. You make it sound so, whoa, brutal.
It is brutal. All you wanted was some toilet paper, but instead what you got was Dorito dust and pink shirt, multicolored hair, neck
That's
beard is what you got.
that's the type of bronies you'd see. Like, I think I recall seeing like a bunch of these cringe compilations of videos back in 2013 when, everything was so simple, and then bronies came out of nowhere, and you start seeing these videos of these guys like showing off their Milo Pony collection. And there's even one where this guy was swinging his stuffed pony plushie on a swing set, and all the kids were laughing at him or something.
I
He
would laugh at him
did for
too.
like 5 minutes or something. It's just wow.
No, no,
That brought me back.
you brought me up to a good point.
Holy shit.
So people like these grown men, by the way, that was a grown man that I was talking about, like grown man, and so that was just an example. Now I'm gonna take this into some life experiences that I've had with bronies, and that was this one time when I went to Toys R Us. God rest its soul. I went into Toys R Us, and I'm pretty sure I was like 12 at the time, and I went there because I was gonna pick up a game. That was the closest place to the mall when we were coming back, and the mall didn't have a GameStop at the time, and that's besides the point. I went into Toys R Us, and my mom was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna look around. You can look around too. Just find the game." And so I said, "Okay." So I went to the aisle, that had the game, like the whole little wall, kind of like Walmart with the glass,
Yeah.
and it's all behind it.
Yeah.
And there was a grown man, I would say in his 40s, and his hair was all gray, and his beard was all whatever, and he wore sweatpants that you would see Trevor Phillips wear in GTA. Sweatpants stains, some kind of mucus on it, some kind of bodily fluid that is not from a female. I'll tell you that much. And he had in his hand a pony. Now it wasn't in the box, that he bought it from Toys R Us. He was holding it around and he was brushing its hair, and I was so scared for my life that day. And I sat there, and
The-
I think to myself, do all bronies, do they
That
have these little ponies and treat them as if it was their pets?
that sounds like a psychopath from Dead Rising.
Do you have any situations with bronies you'd like to share?
The ones I can recall was from online. If I ever met a brony in real life, I know they don't exist. Do they? Do they still exist in this era? I mean, they
Yes,
existed
yes,
all.
they do. They do exist. There's a
Oh,
BronyCon coming up soon.
oh wow. The wow. Because I don't. It's just I don't pay attention to that, like the whole Brony thing and the show in general. But man, only times I could recall was from online. Playing Call of Duty, befriending one. He was the only nicest one out of the rest of the Bronies, and I always said to myself, you know what? I bet there's not enough people like him on that community. That's what I thought. But then when I got older, there's probably is more people like him, but they're so rare to find, and they're like, you know,
They
uh, a
they
diamond, raw hidden gem. Let's put it at that. They're hidden gems, special snowflakes,
they really remind me of
four leaf
just
clovers.
four-leaf clovers. But
Yeah.
another thing that I do feel also would drive from the last subject would drive people to become bronies in that type of sense is that I feel as if they didn't have. Now, this is kind of the messed up aspect to take it, but what if they didn't have like a very good childhood and this show actually brings them back to when they were a kid, kind of thing? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, there was accounts like that for the furry community and why people. I seen a documentary recently about like some. It was a guy. He had a very rough childhood. I think his dad. I think his parents would abuse him, and when he got older, he left. And he went to online. He went to the no, but the internet, and he found out like he liked having animals, and he liked having a dog with him, and so he then he started living by himself, and he discovered like the whole furry community, and he was influenced by it because he met a group that were furries, but their passion was they like taking care of dogs, not in a sexual way, please no,
oh
but
yes.
just taking dogs. They have like a whole thing now, like they take care of dogs and all that, like whatever, and he's a furry, he's full blown furry, and he said it saved his life or something, and yeah, but something like that. I mean, there could also be someone out there with that experience, not with the whole child abuse, but something other than that would would want to meet people, talk to people online, because for them it's probably hard to talk to people in real life, since not all of them, nobody likes let's say nobody likes My Little Pony in school. They hate you and they make fun of you. Then you meet people online who do, then you start to whatever, and
Yeah,
like
I
that.
feel I feel like that's why they have the cons. They're such a hated groups of individuals,
They are, yeah, they're so hated, but yet
and
again,
yeah, they just blend together.
there's just some people out there. That's why I don't really like make brownies first, because you don't know what they've been through, and that's the huge mistake I've done when I was younger. I used to make fun of this group, and then when I got older, I said to myself, damn, that probably that person went through whatever, and I feel really bad for it. And then time goes on and on, and then from your mistakes, and yeah, you just sort of learn from it.
Well, I think that's all we have to talk for about bronies.
Well, hold on, I'm not done yet. I mean, we can't like forget about another section of fandom.
Ooh, what
Sorry
is
to
this
cut you off
section?
there, and that's the fan art.
Okay, well, I do think that we are out of time now. We will not
Yeah.
talk about the we will not talk about the
All
fan
right.
art. I'm throwing my
You don't want to
pencil.
talk. You don't want to talk about it.
I don't. I really don't. I'll throw some
What about
images
the
up.
wait? What about the fan fictions? Come on. What about those?
You take your Wattpad using self somewhere else.